Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're talking about KIZUNA Magellan and Hannibal V2 KIZUNA Magellan that will be arriving in about a day's time over here on OPTC. Breaking down the actual event, as you can see here, we have the infographic. Huge shout out to Bandai and their Twitter. I'll leave a link in the description for the information provided. But in today's video, we'll not only be breaking down the stages, but giving you guys a few teams to take down this particular event. In this particular video, I have 3 free-to-play teams that can take down this particular event. I also have a pay-to-play team that is like big damage numbers, mainly for you guys that are getting those really high-end assists, or if you just sort of like, well, like, screw tickets and like, I just want to see big numbers, basically. Or if you guys have access to these units, these teams will just like, they'll future-proof you for a little while. And finally, I have 2-1 team versus horse for you guys to sort of just make it a little bit easier when you are coming up against these particular stages. So, once again, as I mentioned, huge shout out to the infographic on the Twitter page. Super helpful that this is actually now a thing. Big ups to you, Bandai, if you are watching this video. Keep them coming because we do appreciate the hell out of it. Speaking of appreciation, if you guys enjoy the video, make sure to go down there and belt the like button for me. And if you're new, hit that big red subscribe button. It helps your boy out a great deal. So let's break down the strength variation of Magellan and Hannibal first. So on the first battle, Cerebral and Free Spirits get their cooldowns. Obviously, with the release of the new Buggy and Mr. 3, as well as the Inuyasuma, Cerebral is kind of the focus for this particular event. Like, that's sort of what they want you to be using, as well as like a little bit of Driven, but like Cerebral is the big focus. And if you're building a 1-team versus all, you kind of want to build it around something like Cerebral, Strength, and Quick. Characters like Vivi are very, very good. Characters like Bon Clay are always very, very good. The new Law, very, very good characters as well. So, as I mentioned on the Strength variation, Cerebral, Free Spirits get their cooldowns. On stage 2, you get Special Minded for 5 turns, and then the boss gives you Progressive Poison, Full Border Unfavorable Slots, 5 turns of Paralysis, and 5 turns of Defense up. After level 30, once the boss's HP hits a certain threshold, it becomes 6 turns of Paralysis and 6 turns of Defense up. So, let's take a quick look at the first team, which is the free-to-play team. It looks a little bit like this. Now, obviously you want to try and break quick characters if you can, but there are not a lot of good, like, quick cerebral characters that are free-to-play. So, our leader here is Perispero. His captain ability is a 3x captain to strikers and cerebrals. Once you use his special, or you have his special in effect for 3 turns, he becomes a 4x captain, which is actually pretty solid. Now, this particular team does work with a friend captain Buggy. That way you can get more ticket drops. And pretty much all the teams you'll see in today's video actually use a friend captain Buggy for those extra ticket gains. To remove the 6 turns of Paralysis and be our orb booster, we have Nami and Robin. So with Nami and Robin, they double our slots. They remove the 6 turns of Paralysis. They also give us 1 turn of cooldown, which is quite nice. And then with Perispero being an amazing captain, he's also a chain locker as well. He does end of turn damage too, which is like cool because our captain is quick. But the big reason we have him here is for the 2.75 times chain lock. Next we've got Ivankov. The KIZUNA Ivankov can give us, he's basically an attack booster for us for this particular team, which is very, very handy. He also rotates unfavorable slots, which is really, really good, as well as being able to use the Shiryu support to remove that poison, which is great. Next, we've got the treasure map Hyoguru. He's going to give us color affinity because our captain is quick, as well as removing the 6 turns of defense up. He also gives our top and bottom row slots. So with that, we have the 6 turns of Paralysis, Nami and Robin, 6 turns of defense up with Hyoguru. The Buggy and Mr. 3 also removes defense up as well, and they're also an attack booster. So you like don't really need to use the bottom row if you are bringing a friend Buggy. But if you can't find a friend Buggy and you have something like Law available, you could always use Law with this team too. Finally, to get around the special bind, we have Stussy. Now, the idea of this particular team is we kind of want to sort of tank, like, or we sort of just want to like burst through stage 2 and not worry about the special bind because Stussy removes 4 turns. She also is our color affinity booster, which increases color affinity boost thanks to the Hyoguru. So adds the 0.25 there as well. So she's really, really nice. If you want to, you can just bring another color affinity booster or another unit to remove special bind. Something like VV and Rebecca could also work. But remember, they're only on a 3-turn special bind removal on themselves, where Stussy actually removes 5 turns of special bind on herself. I don't know why Stussy doesn't remove 5 turns, as she removes 5 turns on herself. But nevertheless, that's the free-to-play team. Let's take a look at the big pay-to-play team now. Alright, so the pay-to-play team looks a little bit like this, and you bet it is led by Law. Law's great because he can just remove the paralysis. He's also a super class unit that is a cerebral booster. So his special can be either an attack boost or an orb boost. And he also gives us those nice chain shenanigans to get our chain boost very, very high, adding 0.6 every time we hit a perfect. He also is like I said, a 5.25 times captain. He reduces paralysis, and he can set defense to 0 for 1 turn if you attack with a tandem, a 1, or a quick slot. With his super class, he can actually give himself a tandem slot and then give you a conditional boost by 2.25 to defense down. Now, I'm not sure if the enemy has defense down immunity, but if they don't, Law's going to be hitting exceptionally hard. Not only that, is Law a good captain, he has a good special, but he also has a super tandem effect, which means that if you bring 2 cerebral characters, as well as bringing something like a Beppo, Sachi, or Penguin, and if you have the new Beppo that came alongside this Law, the Beppo works great for this fight as well. You can actually bring him and activate the super tandem, getting an extra 1.25 times attack boost to your cerebral units, which is just more damage, basically, which is really, really nice to see. As I mentioned, we do have Beppo on this team. He can actually remove Special Bind, which is great. Once again, we're kind of just going to just want to cruise through Stage 2 and actually use Beppo on the final stage. You can use him on Stage 2 if you really want to. It all depends on if you actually have Shirahoshi and Mancherry V2. Shirahoshi and Mancherry V2 are actually going to remove the poison. They give us a full board of orbs, which is great, and they actually give us a 1.2 times chain boost. So, nevertheless, I'm going to be using Beppo on Stage 2. Mainly, he's here for the super tandem effect as well. You could also use something like the Jinbei support on him to sort of lock some orbs on like Law and whatnot. But remember, you have the super class to give Law a tandem orb as well. We have Croc. Croc can be an attack booster here, as well as a chain boundary effect. Unfortunately, we won't be at half HP, so we're getting the 2.5 up to 35 times. But still, it's an exceptionally great ability. And chain boundary, on top of chain boosting, as well as the chain shenanigans that Law can give, is a lot of extra damage. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, you can run Buggy as your friend captain here, but if you bring another Law, like that'll work absolutely fine as well. You could probably find like a super type character as well, like that could be an option. Something like maybe like Izokiku or something like that, I guess. But like I said, you want to sort of build these teams around cerebrals anyway. Finally, we have Yoroguru. Once again, he can remove the defense up. 6 turns of defense up is very annoying to get around. Having a free-to-play character that can actually do that is very, very handy. Nevertheless, as I mentioned, if you bring a friend Buggy, Buggy's an attack booster. He removes defense up, which is great. But with Croc and Law, you just get a much better attack and orb boost with them anyway. Unfortunately, Croc won't have type advantage, so just make sure to start the chain with Croc. But that's sort of the big damage team. Well, it's going to get you guys very, very far when it comes to assists and stuff like that, because you have a good attack boost, a good captain, a very good orb boost, good chain shenanigans, color affinity with Yoroguru, as well as a super class and a conditional effect with Law if it allows you to do so. So that's, again, strength. Let's move on to the next variation now, which is against Psy. Now, against Psy, cerebral and driven characters get their specials reduced, and on Stage 2, you get special reversed by 1 turn and locked. So until you hit 3 goods, you're not going to get natural cooldowns. However, you can bring people that will actually give you cooldowns, and that's the way we're going to get around this. Once again, there is poison on the final stage, as well as getting a full board of poison slots, which is a little bit annoying. But if you remove poison, you remove those poison slots, which is really nice. There is a chain multiplier attack down at the chain multiplier being 3.0 or below, 5 turns of resilience, and after level 30, or once the boss gets to a certain threshold of HP, they increase the threshold by 1 turn and bind your top and bottom row. So, fairly annoying shenanigans there. But nevertheless, once again, we put together a cerebrally kind of team to actually get around this particular fight. This particular team works very well with a Buggy friend captain. Buggy boosts the whole team, but unfortunately, Ivankov doesn't boost... I want to say Drake, but it's freaking page 1. He doesn't boost page 1. Now, that's fine, though, because page 1 is going to be our chain locker, and he can just start our chain, which is really, really nice. But Ivankov is our captain here. His captain ability boosts free spirits and cerebral characters by 3.5, which is actually very decent. 3.5 times captain ability, just stock standard, is very, very strong. Very, very nice to see. He's also our attack booster for this particular team, as well as removing 5 turns of resilience, which is very, very handy. Like, very, very handy. Next, we have Rayleigh. Rayleigh can actually give us a special reverse, as well as a chain boost. So, the bind, the burn removal is quite nice as well, because after stage 30, you're actually going to cop 5 turns of bind. So not only does he remove special, or give us special charge, not only does he give us a chain multiplier buff, but he gives us 4 turns of bind removal as well. This is a free-to-play character that you can pick up at the PvP shop. Have never actually really used this rarely, so it's actually nice to see that he's finally getting some playtime. Next, we've got Neptune. Neptune's actually our orb booster here, as well as removing the rest of the resilience. He drastically reduces defense as well, which is kind of cool, but like it's not really going to provide us with too much. Next, we've got Caesar here. Caesar removes those other like turns of bind. He also is a conditional booster against poison. Now, if the enemy is not immune to poison, this is another way that you can actually get around the resilience. And if the enemy isn't immune to poison, I might look at changing this particular team, so that way I can replace Neptune with a higher orb booster. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of many orb boosters. Maybe something like Moria. Is that new Moria? An orb booster for... Thing is, I've built this sort of team around being a cerebral-based team. But with Buggy, you can actually get... no, he does a whole bunch of other stuff there, but whatever. But you could easily build like a driven-y based team with that new Moria as your captain and whatnot, but I decided to take the Cerebral route as Cerebral's just sort of like being locked into my head with the one team versus all and stuff like that. But Caesar's very good. If the enemy's not immune to poison, it's another really, really good way of getting around resilience. Finally, we have Page 1. Now, Page 1, depending on how many specials you actually use, in the turn, he can actually be a 3.5 times chain lock. Now, remember, you have to get your chain lock above 3 times to actually like do some significant damage. You do have a chain boost with Rayleigh, so like this character isn't really essential, but 3.5, getting the 3.5 times chain lock is very, very easy to do because you're popping all of your specials on the final stage. With Caesar 2, he actually has double special activation, so like even if you need to use like a special on turn 2, you are going to be fine, like, but at the same time, you actually need all your specials on the final stage because you get special rest. Now I'm actually looking at it, so it doesn't matter. Like, you can easily pop the 5 specials and you will be good to go. As I mentioned, you do have a friend Buggy here. Friend Buggy is going to give you a lot of tickets, and he's very, very good. As I mentioned, though, you can easily use well, ideally, sorry, you want to use Buggy. Sorry, there's no other friend captain you really want to use here. So this team should work very, very well. Let's take a look at the pay-to-play team now, though. And that looks a little bit like this. Now, again, we are bringing a friend captain Buggy, but this team will work with a Blackbeard friend captain. It will work with a Kid friend captain. It will work with a Yamato friend captain. The bottom 2 units I've actually put on this team because I wanted to express that you can use them as a friend captain if you want more damage. However, if you have all these units, bring a Buggy friend captain. You're going to get way more ticket drops. So Kid, very similar to how Law was very good in the previous variation. He actually gives us the chain shenanigans. He gives us a full board of tandem slots, as well as being our either attack or our orb booster. Now, Buggy's an attack booster, so you can actually use Kid to be your orb booster, which is actually pretty cool. His captain ability is a 5.25 times captain. He makes some matching orbs, but he also has a super class, which will actually give your driven characters 1 turn of special reverse. Now, you do need to bring like a killer heat wire on the team or be below 50% HP. And it's very easy to do that because Heat and Wire remove bind, so you can use them if you have them, but there is a free-to-play killer who's a very good color affinity booster for this particular fight. So it's not easy, it's not hard to do that. And then with Kid's Super Tandem, they'll activate the Super Tandem as long as you have 2 other driven characters. Very easy to do that as well. So you can use Killer, as I'm doing, or you can even use Heat and Wire to activate the 1.25 extra damage buff that Kid can provide too. As I mentioned, we do have Killer on this team. We are rocking a full driven team, so his special is basically just going to be a 2.25 times color affinity boost, and he activates the super class and the super tandem. This Parasparrow is really, really good for this fight too. He's a 2.25 times attack boost, so you can use him as your attack booster, and then you can use Kid as your orb booster. Buggy's also an attack booster too, so that doesn't really matter too much, but this particular Parasparrow, the KIZUNA Rare Recruit, removes 6 turns of resilience and 6 turns of bind. Mad. Like that just covers you for basically all of the after level 30 shenanigans, as well as being an attack booster, which is really, really cool. Kid's going to give you a full board of tandem slots, which he locks. You have a chain boundary effect thanks to Blackbeard and his special, starting the chain multiplier at 2.75, maxing at 35 times, but if your captain is powerhouse or driven, it starts at 3. So like that is huge. And then with Yamato, she is a chain Boosting captain, if you want like heaps more damage for this particular team, you just want to bring this Yamato as your friend captain, and then you can just replace this Yamato with like any other character on the team as well. That way you have a butt ton of chain shenanigans, 2.25 times color affinity, 2.25 times attack boost, and a 2.5 times orb boost. Well, 2.5 times attack boost actually, because Kid actually gives you that plus buff. So this team's going to be doing monstrous amounts of damage. You could even just change the ship there to like the 8th anniversary ship too, like that'll work fine. So this team will do bits. Let's take a look at the final variation now. Alright, so the final variation is against Dex, and strength and quick characters get their cooldowns. On stage 2, there's 5 turns of damage reduction. On the boss, you get poisoned once again. There's a full board of block orbs and 8 turns of despair, which will go down to 5 thanks to your sockets. After you kill the boss though, you cop 80,000 damage. It's a lot of damage. Like, it's a lot of damage. Once the boss hits level 30 or reaches a certain threshold of HP, the despair becomes 6 turns, and they add 5 turns of attack down. So once again, some pretty annoying shenanigans right there, but nothing that is too tricky to get around, even with the free-to-play team. So the free-to-play team looks a little bit like this. Once again, we are bringing a friend captain Buggy. He's got color affinity on every single stage, so he hits very, very hard. And then this whole team does actually work really, really well, thanks to Orochi being our captain. KIZUNA 5 plus Orochi. If you have a full board of 5 strength characters and then 5 driven characters, your driven characters just get and strength characters get a 4 times attack boost, as well as getting a 1.3 times HP boost. So a lot of extra attack, a lot of extra damage, a lot of extra HP, which is very, very nice. As well as making some slots matching. His special can remove 3 turns of bind, despair, and attack down, as well as 3 turns of special bind. He's a color affinity, a orb booster, 2 times orb booster, and if you've used 10 or more strength orbs in normal attacks, which is very unlikely you're going to do so, but like if you do, he's a 3.25 times chain lock as well. Again, probably the weakest of the KIZUNA free-to-play 5 pluses, but for this fight, he does work fairly nicely. Next, we've got Kaido. I just want to see, Kaido's... Alright, well, look, Kaido might be a better captain. Let me know in the comment section below if that works out more. I think he's a 4.5 times captain if you actually rock him as a captain. Just looking at that, but I might be wrong there. If someone's better at maths than me, which a lot of you are, let me know in the comment section below what that looks like. It might be hard to take down stage 2, however, if that is the case. But Kaido here, he is going to remove more despair for us, which is great. With that, we have the 6 turns of despair. He also gives us a full board of strength slots and boost driven characters attack by 2.25. Make sure to use his special first, though. You got to use his special first. Otherwise, he's going to remove all positive effects. He removes the block orb, so he removes some despair, which is great. And he's our attack booster. He also has a final tap. He also has a final tap here, which gives him base stats. Base attack, I should say. So he's going to be hitting very hard. Make sure to hit with him last. Next, we've got Don Krieg and Jin. Don Krieg and Jin can be a conditional booster for us, but the big upside to these guys is they remove more despair, and they reduce damage by 90%. 90% is a lot. I want to check these guys too, actually. Okay, no, never mind. 90% is a lot of damage reduction, so it's going to drop that 80k down to like 8k, which is great. This team doesn't have any way around the poison, so we do need to be mindful of that, because if we cop that 80k and then the poison kicks in, we're probably going to die. But with the damage reduction, we are pretty much hunky-dory. With this team, I don't think we can burst through the damage reduction, so I am bringing this Cracker. He's a color affinity booster, which is great, but he also removes 5 turns of damage reduction. If we can find a way to burst through the damage reduction, maybe use something like Buggy Special on stage 2 and then burst through it that way, we can actually save this special and we can actually get color affinity boost for the final stage as well. Finally, we have the Orochi's Oro with Banshu. They're here to remove 2 more turns of attack down. It's just basically to make up that. They're a driven character, they're a strength character, they have color affinity, and all works out pretty hunky-dory. So that's the free-to-play team. Let's take a look at the pay-to-play team now. So we're wailing hard on this one now. This team uses 2 Kaidos. It doesn't use a friend, Captain Buggy. Again, these teams, like this second team that you see, is more for like later down the line. You should be able to easily build like a driven-y, cerebrally kind of like buggy team. Maybe using something like with like Vivi as your captain would work great. I don't see any issues there, but I decided to put together a Kaido team. Double Kaido will work really, really well here. You could also bring the waifus as a friend captain here if you don't have the waifus yourself. Or you could even use Ace Yamato as a friend captain. But then that way you'd have to replace like the poison removal, or you'd have to replace the despair removal there. But with 2 Kaidos, you have access to 2 super classes. as well as just destroying stage 2 and just bursting through that damage reduction very, very easily. On stage 2, if you pop your friend Captain Kaido with the superclass, you're just going to absolutely decimate that entire stage. The orb boost Kaido gives and the conditional boost is very, very strong because you are going to have a Wano slot on your captains as well. So there is that. Now, there is block orbs on the final stage, as well as a whole bunch of despair. But with this particular team, you are not going to have any issues whatsoever. So we have a base stat boosting with Bond Clay. We're going to turn Bond Clay into a strength striker character. Then he's going to give a chain boost as well as rotate the block orbs and give a base stat boost of 1500. Whitebeard can remove some despair, and then this king can actually remove 5 turns of attack down and the rest of the despair. He is going to trigger the super tandem for Kaido, and with Kaido as a captain, like, you are just going to absolutely devour units. If you have level 4 or higher Kaido, you're actually going to have access to his super tandem mechanic as well, which is very, very nice. Now, if you don't, you can bring a friend that does have that level 4 or 5, and that way this team's just going to rock it for so long. Ace Yamato, they're actually the chain boundary unit for us, as well as our attack booster. And then we have a 2.75 times color affinity boost with the waifus, as well as removing the poison with the Sanji support as well. We can remove attack down with the waifus too, so there's that. But if you don't have a level 4 or 5 Kaido, you could bring like something like Jack to give you a higher chain boost, and then bring something like the Kuma support or something like that. That could work wonders for you guys as well. But this team's going to do like absolute numbers. No issues whatsoever here. Let's take a look at the one team versus all now. Alright, so the way that I like to rock it is I like to just use one team versus all variations. That way I don't really have to think too much about what I'm versing and if I bring the wrong team and whatnot, all that sort of stuff. Now with this KIZUNA, this is a KIZUNA where you want to suicide strat. Like, you want to suicide strat for your friends so you can get your assists up, because you don't want to be using potions during this KIZUNA. I want to reiterate that. This is a KIZUNA where you do not use potions. Save your potions for the super bosses. That's where you want to use potions. So, to make up for that, you actually use the suicide strat, you dive in, you just leave straight away, and then your friends can save you with their assists. That way you get more tickets, and that way you get to your final boxes without using any potions. So we're going to cover all 3 stages here with one team. And the team I put together looks a little bit like this. It's led by Law. We are bringing our friend Buggy. Law can remove the paralysis with his kit. And with Corazon support, we can actually get around some of the despair. That's the big reason we actually have him on Law. Law is going to be either our attack booster or our orb booster. Normally, he's probably going to be our attack booster, because I think his attack boost is 2.75. Yeah, 2.75 times attack boost. And then Sengoku can be our orb booster. But remember, Buggy is an attack booster as well, which works out great. You get a whole bunch of chain shenanigans here with Law as well, which is very, very nice. And with his super class, which I don't think we actually get. Now that I'm looking at this team, I actually don't think we get the super class. It's a bit of a bummer. Yeah, look, it is what it is. You could try and find a way to bring, like, if you're bringing a buggy captain, friend captain, you can easily replace this Pedro here with Beppo. Beppo will trigger that super class for you guys. But with this Pedro can actually remove some of the attack down, because we are missing, sorry, not attack down, the despair and 1 turn of defense up, because the Black Marie unit only removes 5 turns of defense up. But as I mentioned, Buggy is going to remove what's it called? Defense up as well. So you could easily rock this Beppo, and that way you activate the super tandem as well as the conditional boost that Law can provide too. Black Maria, she can remove special blind, which is really, really nice. 5 turns of it, which you actually need for stage 2 of an event. Again, we should probably just burst through that stage. And then use her on the final stage. So that way we have color affinity to our cerebral and driven characters as well. She also removes 5 turns of defense up, which is very, very nice. Bond Clay. Now, Bond Clay being like the best KIZUNA character in the entire game, he actually gives himself special charge. 7 turns at the start of the fight. And then obviously with the 13-turn cooldown and your ships and your captains and stuff like that, you can actually get his cooldowns even when he's not boosted. Now, the idea of this unit is not only does he rotate block orbs, which is super handy, he's our base stat booster, he has access to the Ivankov support to get around all of the poison, because there's poison on all 3 stages, but you can actually turn him into, obviously, a cerebral character, but whatever color has type advantage. So, against Psy, you're going to turn him into an int character. Against Quick, you're going to turn him into a Dex character, and against Strength, you turn him into a quick character. So like that, all that's going to work very, very nicely because of that ability to just change his typing, which is nice. Finally, we have Sengoku. Sengoku removes 6 turns of bind. He also rotates block orbs. He's a 2.25 times orb booster, which is so, so nice. But he also removes attack down as well, which is very, very good. On top of that, he has access to Suru support. Suru gives you end of turn damage, and with that end of turn damage, you can actually get around resilience. So this team is going to work very, very nicely. Like, there's not going to be any issues with this particular team. Dofi gives you a chain boost as well with Black Maria, which is very, very nice. You have a whole bunch of chain shenanigans and stuff like that to get her over that 3.0 chain. Like the chain shenanigan too. So this team works with Law, but if you don't have Law, another really good option is Vivi. Now, shout out to my boy Sim for putting this particular team together. It does use a friend Buggy once again. Vivi has been out for a little while now, and she is a cerebral character that also has a super type that is an attack boost. So she's an attack boost, an orb boost, and she gives you full body orbs. She removes special bind with her kit. She's a very, very good character. Very, very, very good unit. And when it comes to these Kizuna 1 team versus alls, she's a very easy go-to character. Once again, we have Bon Clay and Sengoku with the same supports there. They work very, very well. If you don't have this Kizuna Sengoku, you can do some shenanigans with stuff like Vivi Rebecca to get around the V2, to get around the special bind and the bind. And then you can replace like Komurasaki on this team with like another character to give you, what's it called? The end of turn damage. But this team, like, it's going to work very, very nicely. Komurasaki is the color affinity booster. She also removes Despair, which is very, very good because we need that Despair removal there. Just looking at this team, though. We need 6 turns of Despair removal, so I'm kind of just thinking, like, I think Buggy actually removes Despair now that I'm really thinking about it. So that should work. And then with Crocodile can be an attack booster. He gives us chain boundary effect. And then we can remove the paralysis thanks to Mr. 1, as well as Izo and Kiku. So once again, huge shout out to Sim for that particular team. And I wish you guys the best of luck in the Kizuna event moving forward. Let me know what teams you guys will be using in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of the new Kizuna unit, being Magellan and Hannibal as well, down in the comment section. If you did enjoy the video and it did help you out, make sure to belt the like button for me if you're new. Hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, if you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later!